Rob here from East Fork Christmas Tree Farms and the Flanagan Homestead. I'm out here. We finished our Christmas tree sales last week and I'm going to do some winter shearing. Now, you normally don't shear this time of year, but if you can see behind me, most of the trees of any size are gone in this section of the field. So if there's a tree still here, there's something wrong with it. There's a reason people didn't want it. So for instance, this tree right here has pretty decent size, but it's empty here. There are some branches in here that will fill out. So I'm gonna take a hedge trimmer. I have my stihl hedge trimmer. This is a little overkill with its length, but I could extend up for, there's some taller trees out there that I'm gonna shape. But what we're gonna do here is I cannot swing a knife through this time of year, or I won't be able to next year if I let this grow out. So a lot of trees today, I'm going to use a hedge trimmer with a motor on it to take off some of the woody stuff now. And by doing that, one, I'll be able to get a better shape, and two, instead of the energy wanting to go out in the end tips, which it normally wants to, those will be gone. So this tree will have a lot of energy to send out in these other gaps and the other branches, so that this will fill in, and then the tips that are out, I will be able to shear down with a knife. A lot of trees, I'm going to take their shape that's really wide today and narrow them down, and then the tips will start filling back out and I'll be able to swing a blade on them next year. If I don't do that now with a hedge trimmer, I won't be able to swing a blade on them next year. So one thing that I'm going to do with this tree, there's got some decent branches here, but a little bit run. I'm going to shorten it a little bit. I'm going to take this bud, and that'll give this tree more time to fill in here. I'm going to bring the woody branches in on the wide side. I'm going to bring this to a tighter angle, and then all this energy will be pushing out in these other branches, and this tree will fill in really nicely next year. Okay, now I've just created a narrower angle that this can fill in, and the tree won't be sending out energy everywhere out here. It'll be sending it through these inner buds to fill this in, and this will be a nice shaped tree next year. Okay, here's 3 trees right in a row that give a good example of why you need to do winter shearing, and you need to do it with a hedge trimmer. My crew did a horrible job on this one. You could see the trunk of this tree right here, and it sticks out about 1.5 feet on this side and 3.5 feet on that side. So this tree is not balanced at all. So I'm going to get in there with the hedge trimmer, and I'm going to really cut out that right hand side over there, and it's going to lose a lot, probably over 1 foot of branches over there. This side's not going to lose a whole lot, but the tree will be balanced again. This one just has a body that will grow into some decent branches that will fill in up here, but it needs to be the bottom brought back in, and then the rest of this will fill in equally. And then this thing over here, this thing is just a bush with no shape. It's going to be hard to save actually, because the top comes back over, but I'm going to try to create some true sharp lines that will get it back in shape, and then next year we could shear off the new growth with a knife. To be clear, it would have been much better if we had never gotten to this point. It would have been best if we had kept good straight lines and kept the shape of the trees in the summer shearing season. But as I said before, sometimes when you're doing thousands of trees, you miss something or your lines get bad, and using the hedge trimmer in the winter and getting through the woodiness then creates nice lines that you can swing through the new growth next summer, and hopefully don't allow this to happen again. It's easier to have a skinny tree grow out than it is to have a tree that you let grow too fat come back into shape. So as the trees are younger and smaller, try to make sure you don't let them get too wide and turn into a bush. Okay, not perfect trees yet, but they have lines that will be sheared and work well for next year. Okay, you can see the above picture, which was before and the after of the same trees. 3 trees that looked like they would never sell as Christmas trees now have the chance to grow into good form this coming spring. To be clear, you can do this hedge trimming in the summer with your normal shearing, but then you'll just be leaving scars and cutting off the new good-looking fresh growth. If you do this in the winter now, then the scars will be covered as the new growth comes out next spring, and you just do a lighter cutting and the tree will look really good the following year. I haven't done it yet today on video, you haven't seen it, but one of the things I like about this stihl hedge trimmer on a stick is this head at the end, you could actually pull this back and pivot the head at many different angles and lock it in. And so when I am working around trees that are really tight, I have a lot of open space here so I could just walk around it. But when there's big trees in the way, I could change the angle of my trimming head, and so I could reach around the tree and not need as much distance. So when I first got this tool, it was actually a gift, and I didn't think I was going to use it that much on the Christmas trees. But both in the summer, and I have these 10, 11, 12-foot trees I don't want to get up on a ladder. It's been fantastic for that. Being able to get this woody stuff off, angle the head, and work around the tree. This has actually been a very valuable tool. Here's another tree that really has no real shape to it. It's just a bush, a blob. I should fire the guy that worked in this row this last year. Just kidding. But I'm going to have to be really aggressive and just cut this way back, tighten it down. It's short enough now that it'll grow back out some good branches before we need to sell it in a year or two. So this one's really got to come back in. Okay, that has a Christmas tree shape now. On the bottom there you saw I was probably cutting back almost over a foot of branches. It was really woody, that's why you got to have the machine to do it. But again, now that I've got it back into shape, the new tips will grow out, I can swing a blade. I'm actually thinking this one's a lot more promising than I thought it was before I started shearing. You can see the pile of branches that I left around this one. That I had to take a ton off. Never get through all this woody stuff. You'd never get through all this woody stuff with a blade. Well, you would, but you just ruin your blade and have to really hack at it. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. This is really woody, probably 2 years old. Lots of wood in here. But by coming through here with a hedge trimmer, getting this all off, instead of having branches growing way out here and trying to swing a knife to get shape again, I've got this off, and now these little branches in here, their tips are going to grow out and they're going to fill this out, and this tree is actually going to be a pretty nice sell this next year. I'll probably want to come in here, and this stuff just isn't going to heal up good enough. And so when we get this right here, these branches where it's just a knuckle on the tree, get rid of those now, and everything will look great next year. Here's an interesting one. When I first came up to it, I thought for sure we're going to have a bent trunk or something in here, but actually the trunk is straight. We've got a top coming up here with a terminal bud straight out the top, and several buds around the side to create a whorl. So this tree has a lot of promise, nice color, everything. Somehow it just turned into a bush that has absolutely no shape. So this is one that I'm going to have to be aggressive on, but we do have a good leader. We do have good color. We have a straight trunk. We can get a Christmas tree out of this. It's probably going to be 2 years from now. Okay, that's a pretty good start to a tree that came out of that bush. This is going to be nice. Here's another example of a tree that we're going to just keep really skinny, shorter than the 40 to 45 degree that a lot of people want, because we always get people coming out here saying, oh, you don't have any skinnier trees, so I could just fit it in the corner of the room. So this tree naturally is a little skinnier. I'm going to even make it skinnier, but then it'll allow this branch to fill out and fill in this hole, and this will fill in, and this will be a nice full tree as far as filled in with branches, but it'll be tighter and it can get fit into a room. And if it gets even taller, it'll fit into a room even at 10 feet tall. I do have an interesting decision to make here. It's got so many nice buds on here that I'm tempted to want to leave it, but this is going to be really full through here, and then we'll just have thin branches out here. It won't look as nice. So, and it doesn't have a true terminal bud. So, you know, I always like to have that bud right on top to get the next year's leader, but it doesn't have a true leader anyway. So I'm not as hesitant to cut this top off. So I'm going to cut it down to here, leave this bud, and then I'm going to shear this nice and skinny, and this will grow up another 8 inches this year. It'll be nice and tight, and someone will love this tree that doesn't want to take up all the space in their living room. Okay, this will fill in, this will fill in, and this will still not take up your whole living room. This is a nice tree. We love working hard, growing stuff, blessing our customers, and sharing our videos. Please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing. Thanks again.